Prince Charles impressively paving the way for modern monarchy with latest podcast. Prince Charles is ensuring the monarchy adapts to modern times as he embraced his first podcast over the Easter holiday. Prince Charles has been commended for engaging in a podcast over the Easter break. Royal commentators Roberto Fiorito and Rachel Bowie of the Royally Obsessed podcast noted that this was an impressive step towards a modernized monarchy. The pair noted that Kate had also surprised fans with her first podcast earlier this year, and the royal family continued to adapt to changing times. Ms. Bowie said, "Camilla and Charles posted pretty pictures of daffodils. They also announced Prince Charles made his podcast debut. Applause to them because I think they are embracing modern times by getting on a podcast." Ms. Fiorito agreed and noted that other royals were embracing modernity by looking at other ways to communicate with the public. She said, "The royals' ability to pivot and take everything online has shown how nimble they are. It also highlights the impressive technology used for times like these." She continued, "As we know, Kate did her first podcast earlier this year. I feel like it is impressive how much they are just going all in." Ms. Bowie agreed that she loved this effort from the royal family and went into detail on Prince Charles' podcast work. Prince Charles recorded a gospel reading, and it was for Westminster Abbey's new podcast called Abcast. He read John 21-18, which tells of Mary Magdalene going to Jesus' tomb to find it empty only for the resurrected Jesus to appear to her. He read that on the podcast over Easter. He tested for coronavirus and has recovered, but he was still recording the piece from home in Scotland. "Personally, I think that was a really nice way to celebrate." Will Prince Charles be the last king in the British monarchy? It's looking more likely. The British monarchy has been around so long that most people take its existence for granted. But in reality, the royal family is currently serving at the pleasure of the people. If Parliament decided to withdraw funding tomorrow, they could all fade into obscurity. These are questions no one would have dreamed of asking a decade ago. But with Prince Andrew's epic scandal and involvement with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, now disgusted critics are wondering if there's a place for the royals in the modern world. It doesn't help that Queen Elizabeth's retirement is looming and her son and successor Prince Charles doesn't enjoy the same popularity as she does. And the worst part of all? The Prince of Wales doesn't seem to realize why people don't like him that much. Critics call Prince Charles a hypocrite. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle aren't the only royals being called hypocritical. Prince Charles is another royal who keeps getting called phony for claiming he cares about the environment while exploiting natural resources more than the people he's preaching to. Former government minister and parliament member Norman Baker recently published an expose called, "And What Do You Do? What the Royal Family Don't Want You to Know," that called into question some of Prince Charles' biggest controversies. Baker accuses the future monarch of tax evasion, greed, private jet usage, fakery, and perhaps worst of all, of being completely oblivious to all of it because he's so entitled. But whether he realizes it or not, millennials are not in love with the monarchy like older generations were. A YouGov poll found that only 41% of 18 to 24-year-olds believe the monarchy should still exist. The Prince of Wales grew up rich and entitled. It's not easy raising rich kids who understand and appreciate the value of all they have. It's even harder parenting a future king and ensuring he doesn't get an overinflated sense of self. For example, when asked about revealing more details of his finances, Prince Charles reacted strongly against it. "I think it of absolute importance that the monarch should have a degree of financial independence from the state. I am not prepared to take on the position of sovereign on any other basis," the Prince of Wales said of the notion. His maintained secrecy causes some citizens to feel frustrated. And what's more, Prince Charles' reputation suffered greatly when his marriage to the Princess of Wales fell apart, and even worse, when he began openly dating and eventually marrying his mistress, Camilla. There are plenty of royal followers who still aren't over that. Queen Elizabeth remained an enigma for her entire reign. Her Majesty remains a popular royal because she's a master at avoiding scandal. She takes the family motto, "Never complain, never explained to heart, and even in the face of rumors has remained absolutely composed and professional over the years. Her greatest asset has always been that nobody outside the family really knows who she is, the Daily Beast reported. She is one of the most famous people in the world and yet relatively unknowable. This is a very smart way of remaining above reproach. Prince Charles may not live up to his mother's legacy. In stark contrast, Prince Charles has been revealing more and more of his character over the years. The only problem with it is the more royal followers get to know him, the less they like him. There's a good chance that Prince Charles will usher in the natural conclusion of an institution that no longer has use or relevance. The one key difference between Prince Charles becoming king and Queen Elizabeth taking the throne. It's pretty wild to think about another coronation ceremony happening in the British royal family when there hasn't been one since Queen Elizabeth became the reigning monarch in 1952. This is the longest the citizens have ever had the same ruling monarch in the history of the crown. Royal followers are starting to seriously think about Prince Charles's reign and how things will change once he assumes the throne. The Prince of Wales has already gone on record saying he plans to slim down the monarchy and only bestow titles on his closest family members. Who knows, that might not even include his second son, Prince Harry, at this point. But it's not just rules that will change when Prince Charles becomes king. His entire coronation ceremony will be quite different from Queen Elizabeth's was. Charles might become king while his mother, Queen Elizabeth, is still alive. The Queen already vowed to serve as reigning monarch for the duration of her life, and so far, any rumors about her stepping down early and retiring have been quickly squashed or completely ignored by Buckingham Palace. But, the older Queen Elizabeth gets, the more likely she is to suffer health issues that affect seniors. If those problems become serious enough, then Prince Charles would step in as regent. Reader's Digest reported that in the event of a regency, Queen Elizabeth would keep her title but would relinquish all her royal duties and public appearances to Prince Charles. Prince Charles will become king immediately after Queen Elizabeth dies. Plenty of royal followers have petitioned to change the line of succession to have Prince Charles skipped in favor of his more popular son, Prince William, but there's almost no chance of that happening. That's because the royals take tradition very seriously. The moment Queen Elizabeth dies, Prince Charles will become the king. But his name may not be King Charles. Some royal historians argue that two other King Charles met unfortunate fates, so Charles probably wouldn't pick the name. But since Charles has had his name for more than 70 years, he may be intent to keep it. The national anthem will change. It's been so long since anyone had to think about it, but after Prince Charles becomes king, the national anthem will change from God Save the Queen to God Save the King. The red mailboxes in England that currently bear the royal cipher, or initials, ER for Elizabeth II Regina will also change to match the new letters Prince Charles chooses. He'll incorporate other religions into the coronation ceremony. Prince Charles is poised to become the head of the Church of England. But despite this important role, he has a fervent interest in religious tolerance and honoring people of all faiths. Originally, Charles took issue with the portion of the monarch's title that said Defender of the Faith because he thought it exclusionary. Instead, some royal experts think he may change the wording to simply, Defender of Faith. The coronation ceremony will be an Anglican service but will most likely incorporate elements of other religions as well, just like Prince Harry and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex's wedding did. Prince William will become even more popular. There's no possible way for Prince Charles to rule for as long as his mother Queen Elizabeth did. Because of this fact and because Prince William and his family are so popular, royal analysts predict that the Cambridges will take even more of a central role once Prince William becomes the Prince of Wales and heir apparent. It'll be a sad day when Queen Elizabeth dies. But it will also set into motion these inevitable events and usher in the future of the British monarchy.